G'day there guys, no regrets here, not even one letter. Back at it again with another episode of r/Am I the A-hole? Now if you love today's content like I love you, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, a like on this video, and enjoy this bloody good content. Posted by user, Am I the A-hole? Titled, Am I the A-hole for getting mad at my girlfriend for making me lie to my friends because she got her period? Throwaway for obvious reasons. My girlfriend and I have been together for over 2 years. She has always been very neat, tidy, and very polished. She cares about her appearance, and I appreciate that. So this situation makes no sense to me. We were at a very fancy event with a few of my friends. Social distancing rules, everyone wore masks, etc. My girlfriend was wearing a beautiful white dress which I recently bought for her. The dress was very expensive, we were all having a good time. However, at one point she excused herself to go to the bathroom, and then I didn't see her again until she sent me a text from the car asking if we could go home. Obviously I'm slightly annoyed because I didn't want to leave so soon. When I reached the car and asked her why she wanted to go home, she told me that she got her period unexpectedly. I asked why she didn't bring extra tampons or pads, or use those tracking apps. She tried to defend herself by saying that she did everything she could, and that she had a period stain, and didn't want to stay because of the stain. She asked me to lie to my friends and tell them she was feeling unwell so that she could go home. She had a man's jacket, a mutual friend of ours, covering her legs, and the nasty stain, and pleaded with me to take her home so she could shower and unwind. I took her home and lied to my friends. When she was getting out of the car, the stain was very noticeable. It was very big and essentially ruined an expensive dress which I bought. She also made me purposefully lie because she wasn't prepared enough, and made me miss an event with my friends. Needless to say, I was extremely ticked. She said I was not being considerate enough and went to go lie down because she had a headache. She wanted to lie down after she took a shower. She woke up and I haven't spoken to her properly until she apologizes and gives back the friend's jacket. I don't think I'm the a-hole, but when I told my friend, the same friend who gave her a jacket, he told me I was the a-hole and my girlfriend kind of agreed. Am I the a-hole? I think so, yeah. Just because your partner normally isn't like that, that's an embarrassing thing to have happen unexpectedly. Sure, she could have taken initiative and had a tracker app and whatnot and taken precautions, but not everyone does that and it shouldn't be expected of someone. And especially as her partner, you shouldn't be getting up her for doing that. You sound very much entitled, OP. You're getting upset at her for ruining a fancy event with your friends and her expensive dress? You know, shit happens in life, OP. People make mistakes. We all mess up. You're just not going to forgive her for these mistakes? Because that's really childish, forcing her to apologize to you first before you even say anything. It's kind of like a shame on you situation. You're the a-hole. Edit. I guess I'm the a-hole. I logged out of this account about an hour after posting because the response was terrible, and then came back to a ton of responses calling me the a-hole. After my girlfriend came home from returning the jacket, she apologized for ruining the dress, and I apologized for being a dumbass and not understanding the whole period thing. She forgave me, and then we went out for ice cream and rewatched her favorite movie. That's the end of the story. You're the a-hole. You are a huge a-hole. Unexpected periods happen. Even if you use a tracker, they can vary by days or weeks, and you can have spotting in between. Sometimes you just forget. Every person who menstruates has at some point been caught off guard. For most women, in terms of embarrassment, having a period stain is like crapping yourself in public. You yourself called it nasty. There's a ton of social stigma around it. If you crap yourself in public, wouldn't you want her to find an innocent excuse and sneak you home? Or would you want her to tell all of your friends at a big fancy event there's turds leaking down your legs? I promise you, she was probably just as devastated and embarrassed about ruining the dress. Instead of feeling sympathetic, you got mad at her. If you cannot accept the realities of women's bodies, stop dating women. I tried typing out a response, but too much rage made it unpostable, so I'm just gonna say this is spot on. OP needs to educate himself. You're the a-hole and super ignorant. Honestly, there's more to this. OP has been sneaking in little information here and there that he thinks would swing the tide in his favor. I don't understand the purpose of adding, she wanted to lie down after taking a shower because she had a headache. It was as if he didn't believe her, and probably thinks that it will make us disbelieve her as well. He tries to come off as progressive and not a noob about periods, but clearly he's the opposite. He tried to fuss about the jacket and somehow the whole post has a superficial, cringy, funny vibe, and not in a good way. Maybe I'm reading too much into this part, but not really. He is not only ignorant, petty, and period illiterate, but also a massive a-hole. Needless to say, I was extremely ticked. Your girlfriend was incredibly embarrassed, and you're more concerned with the cost of the dress, and that you needed to help cover for her embarrassment? She apologizes. She has nothing to apologize for. It was an accident. It happens. Partners support each other when things like this happen. You're the a-hole, a massive one. Posted by user WelcomeReady2852, titled, Am I the a-hole for dyeing my 10-year-old daughter's hair and piercing her ears again? My daughter needed a haircut, so we went to the salon. The hairdresser had bright pink hair and her whole entire ear pierced. My daughter was very fascinated by this. She mentioned that she would like pink hair and was going on how she would also like many earrings one day too. My daughter was adamant she wanted pink hair. Initially, I was a little unsure, but then figured it will grow out anyway and was not permanent. My daughter has a dark blonde to light brown colored hair, and we agreed not to use bleach. I was expecting the color we chose to be a soft, subtle pink without bleach, but it did come out extremely intense and bright. My daughter was very proud of her new hair. The salon did ear piercing, and my daughter noticed this and asked if she could get her ears pierced again. She was wanting a row of earrings like the hairdresser, which was of course too much, but after some discussion, we agreed she could choose 2 pairs of earrings. I was expecting my daughter would have 2 more added to each lobe. She already had 1 in each, but she wanted them all on one side. The issue I had was that the 4th and 5th hole would be in her cartilage, as she could only fit 3 in her lobe. I raised this with the hairdresser, but she said it would be okay. We ended up leaving the salon with my daughter looking a little punkish, with bright pink hair and 5 earrings in her left ear. When we got home, my husband was a little freaked out by my daughter's new look. He was angry with me as he thought she was too young. He was also worried about what her grandparents and other parents would think. I told him to relax, as it made our daughter happy, but he seems to think that I went too far. Am I the a-hole here? Yeah, because you did this without consulting him first. You're married, and I think when it comes to your kid, you both should be making decisions like these together. I can see why some people would, say, we can do whatever we want with our daughter, we don't need the approval of our husband, blah 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 blah. But I think, especially given his reaction, it was very much a case where they both expect to make decisions together about what their daughter does while she's not 18. So because of that, OP is definitely the a-hole in this situation. You're the a-hole. Dyeing the hair pink was fine. I think adding multiple piercings is a bigger decision that should not have been done on the fly. A 10-year-old isn't old enough to make decisions about permanent body alterations, especially when it was something that just came up and was done immediately. I mean, piercings can close, at least the lobes. I'm not sure about cartilage. But either way, I know lots of girls chose to get their ears pierced around age 10 to 12. Cartilage closes faster than lobes. People being awful dramatic on this thread, to be honest. You're the a-hole. You're the parent. It's up to you to have a minimal amount of self-control and not bend to your child's every whim. The piercings are absolutely excessive for a 10-year-old. Also, you don't get cartilage piercings done by a fudging hairdresser at any age. This person was not qualified. I have several salons local to me who have trained piercers within them. A couple of my barbers and hairdresser friends are also trained in body mods and piercing. It's not unusual at all, and you have no idea if they were qualified or not. They gave a 10-year-old several cartilage piercings. That's indication enough of their qualifications. Cartilage piercings should not be done at a damn salon, and definitely not be done on a 10-year-old. They are not in any way the same as basic lobe piercings, which, to be honest, salons should also not do. I'm all for body mod, but it's called body modification for a reason. A 10-year-old isn't even allowed to watch half of YouTube for frick's sake. They definitely shouldn't be getting cartilage piercings at the local cut and dye. Oh, also, Opie, you're the a-hole. Posted by user, Why is she always late? Titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my habitually late mum that if she can't be on time, don't come to my wedding? My mum is habitually late. If she has somewhere to be, she'll be getting ready 5 minutes before and then rush there in a frenzy, being ultimately late to whatever she had planned. She owns her own business and seems to be only on time for clients. She's been late to dinners, gatherings, parties, etc., all because she'll sit around and wait until the last minute. If you want her on time, you better tell her the wrong one. She thinks it's funny, I don't. I'm getting married in 2021, restrictions willing, and she made a comment about me telling her the wrong time so she'd show up on time. I said, or you'll be on time because it's an important day and you're an adult. She gave me a look, and I said, if you're not going to be on time, don't show up. She got very offended by this, but to me, it's her daughter's wedding. If you can't prioritize it and get up a little earlier to be on time, then don't come. She now won't speak to me, and my dad says I should apologize. I don't think so. Am I the a-hole? Man, that's a really bad habit my mum got me into myself. She was exactly the same. She'd always just show up late and then laugh. And she's like, you're being ridiculous. We're only half an hour late. And I grew up with that mentality for a long time of, I'm just going to be late to things. It's inevitable. I'm always going to be late. And I always was. And no one appreciated that. And then it made me mad when I changed that habit and my mum never did, and I can see where OP is coming from. It's actually genuinely infuriating sometimes. Because you hold people up and it's just embarrassing and it eats you up knowing it's gonna happen again every time, and this definitely feels like the last straw for OP. I definitely wouldn't go as far as she did saying don't show up to my wedding, but again, I see where she's coming from, and I think that OP is not the a-hole in this situation. I hate people who have the mindset of like, I'm always late, sorry lol, can't help it. Like, yes, you can. Being late once or twice is an accident. Being habitually late is rude. Not the a-hole at all. I hate that I'm one of those people, but I have crazy anxiety and OCD that gives me issues when I try to leave the house. But for my daughter's wedding, I would plan on being there super early and just be kind of early instead. Not the a-hole at all, OP. I'm the opposite. I have anxiety, depression, and OCD, and if I think I'm going to be a microsecond late, I start hyperventilating. It's awful. Same. I'll just sit in my car for 15 minutes rather than be 5 minutes late. Not the a-hole. If she can't be on time to that, what can she be on time for? Her client meetings, apparently. Honestly though, your daughter's wedding seems like something you'd show up a day early for if you're stereotypically late, if it matters to you anyway. That most of all shows that it's absolutely a choice and she knows exactly what she's doing. If you can choose to be on time for one thing, you can choose to be on time for everything. She's just rude and selfish, and if it doesn't affect her money or business, it's not important. Not the a-hole. I'm betting she thinks it's funny because everyone just lets it slide and tries to laugh it off. Clearly, if she's on time for her clients, she's shown that she's capable of being on time in general. It's not that hard, and you are asking very little. Can you talk to your dad about making sure that she shows up on time? My dad will probably leave without her because she's always late. My mum is like this too. My older sister just flat out didn't invite her. Invited dad though. But if your dad can be a helping hand, then do that. Get the best man and maid of honor on it too, so they can prevent a scene on the actual day. Yours and your partner's day, your rules, not the a-hole. Posted by user My Party Ring. Titled, Am I the a-hole? I told my sister the family store is probably not getting any business because she keeps shoving my nephew in photos of products that are irrelevant. My sister just had a baby, and he's a couple of months old, kinda in that ugly chicken phase. She's been trying for a baby for over 10 years, and I'm super proud of her because I know she was hurting with infertility, etc. She co-owns a successful business with my parents, and it's her job to post pictures on their website of the products. For the sake of argument, let's say they hand-make leather goods like wallets and purses. Nothing to do with kids. She will post photos of my nephew either on the goods partially obscuring the items or with the items on top of him. She jumped straight back into work and uses my nephew as props. Business has taken a noticeable dive, and people keep emailing the store to ask if they can get clearer pictures, etc. Recently, someone left a bad review after purchasing items saying, I came here to buy X, not look at someone's baby. My sister took it the wrong way and actually blacklisted the customer and also sent a strongly worded email to them saying they're a family business and how dare they criticize her, and no one knows what she's been through. My parents actually had to reach out to that customer and offered to fully refund them. I gently said to my sister, I was in the room when my parents were refunding over $200 worth of leather goods, that maybe she should keep work and family separate. She started screaming at me that I'm a stupid kid and I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm 17, she's 30 plus. I was a total surprise baby, and that I'm evil and dumb, etc. My parents asked me to apologize to her, which I don't think I should. Wow, for one logical solution saying that keep work and family separate that everyone says all the time, you're now the devil? God, hate you OP, you're so stupid and ignorant. What are you doing? But no, for real, I hate that when you make a good point and you're noticeably younger than someone, they immediately dismiss you because how can you know any better? You're younger. You're not in my situation. It's like, alright then, don't take my criticism. You're just going to continue to fail. Good on you, love. I think OP is not the a-hole for trying to help and get this woman to snap out of it. Don't know what her problem is, but she might get booted out of that family business sooner than later if she continues. Not the a-hole. Frankly, your sister is acting very unprofessional and hurting the business. I could at least, in some capacity, understand her using her baby as a model if they were promoting baby-related items, clothes, bedding, furniture, etc. But a baby has no place in product pictures of items that are not baby-related. Especially an ugly baby. Oh my god. An ugly chicken baby, according to OP. They all look like squishy, creepy aliens for several months, and when they're yours, you don't really see it until you look back on photos. But all newborns look creepy. Not the a-hole. Her actions are costing the business money. Also, not everyone likes babies. So if your business is handmade leather goods, and the baby is sitting on new products with a diaper on, or drooling all over the merch, it doesn't look very good. It looks very unprofessional. Maybe let her manage a social media page where the baby poses with bags or whatever with the family and other customers. But actual product shots and communication should remain formal and without baby. That's just weird. I don't think letting the hyper-defensive woman who is obsessed with posting photos of her kid that's in a, and I quote, ugly chicken phase should be in charge of social media. Or, as it is more accurately called when it comes to business, PR/advertising. She needs a forced maternity leave. Not the a-hole. Even though I understand her perspective, since she got what she wanted for over 10 fudging years, her joy is overwhelming her. But you're right too. One shouldn't mingle work and family. And it's hurting the business. Imagine trying to buy a wallet and seeing a baby sitting on it or putting it in its mouth. Not only is the baby unnecessary, but it also makes the product look dirty, and during a pandemic, no one wants to buy something that's been handled by a sticky child. And honestly, of course random people looking to buy leather goods aren't going to care that this woman has a baby or that it took her 10 years to have one, they just want to buy a product. Posted by user Throwaway Mother-in-Law 98, titled, "Am I the a-hole for refusing to speak with my mother-in-law after my wife passed?" Throwaway. My mother-in-law does not like me in the slightest. She is very conservative and didn't want her daughter marrying a woman, let alone a black woman. So I constantly was on the receiving end of all her insults. My late wife tried to distance herself from her, but my mother-in-law would always claim that she's changed and that she's more progressive, etc., but never actually showed any behavioral changes. We always gave her a gazillion chances, but she never truly changed. She was invited to our wedding the summer of last year. She showed up and managed to not cause a commotion, and gave us a wedding gift. She gave us an embroidered blanket, which I appreciated, accompanied with a handwritten letter explaining how she loved her daughter, but hated that she was going to hell. My wife didn't speak to her much after that. We still visited her family, as they were very supportive, including my mother-in-law's husband, but I always tried to steer clear of her. My wife died last month in the hospital. I wasn't allowed to see her in the hospital, and was devastated when I heard the news. My mother-in-law keeps trying to reach me, and I don't want to deal with that right now. I don't want to hear her slander me, or somehow blame it on me, or spew more homophobic BS. I just need to be alone. I went to her funeral. Her parents and I stayed the longest at the funeral, and once the tears had dried up, I drove my father-in-law and mother-in-law home. My father-in-law asked me if I wanted to stay the night as a supportive gesture. I declined, mostly because I didn't want to be with mother-in-law. He sent me a text a couple of days later, asking if I could return specific stuff of my wife's to him. I dropped it off, but was met with my mother-in-law. She was asking me if we could go out for coffee and chat. I politely turned her down because I was not in the mood to deal with her. She always does this, claims she's changed, but exhibits the same homophobic behavior. My father-in-law has told me to give her a chance, and I feel terrible for not responding to my mother-in-law's texts or calls, but I don't want to deal with her drama. Am I the a-hole? No, and you've made your reasons very clear here. I think she should get the message from you, ghosting her for a bit here, that, she hasn't changed, and all her efforts to prove that she has changed has not worked. I don't even know if you need to communicate that to her, or even to the father-in-law. I think it should be obvious to them. They're adults. They've lived a life. They should be able to know, hey, being homophobic to gay people, not a good thing to do. Add on top of that, you're grieving your partner that you've just lost, and you want to be alone. No, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. I'm 100% in support of you. You are not the a-hole in this situation. Edit. Never once did I think this post would receive this many responses, and thank you for the awards. Thank you for all your condolences, for all the kind words in my messages asking me if I'm okay, sharing a different perspective, giving me a small laugh. It is all greatly appreciated. My wife was the best person I ever met, and I'm sure she would have had a laugh at me asking Reddit if I had done something wrong. After reading all the responses I could get through, I think that I will go meet with my mother-in-law for coffee. But after I've properly set boundaries, and I'll bring a trusted friend along. This won't happen soon though, I just need more time to process everything. I'm sorry for your loss. Not the a-hole, you just lost your spouse. At this point, it doesn't matter what she wants. You need to be able to grieve and take steps at the rate you want them, if you want them. 100% this. As recently as a year ago, that woman said your wife was going to hell because of her relationship with you. In a letter with your wedding present, no less. Hasn't changed since, and she has something she just has to say to you? Avoid her like the plague. You are not the a-hole. I can hardly imagine any possible thing she wants that would be good for you or to help you heal. I'm afraid all she wants is to ask you if her daughter, who was justifiably minimizing contact with her, really still loved her or forgave her or something else to help her sleep at night. Nothing that will be a net positive in your life. I agree with this. No good will come from meeting with her. It will be all about her, and OP is not responsible for her. Not the a-hole OP. I'm sorry for your loss, and you need to take care of yourself right now. Once bitten, twice shy. It's understandable that you wouldn't trust this woman, not the a-hole. It's impossible to know whether mother-in-law is still an a-hole or not, but I don't blame you for not risking it. My sincerest condolences for your loss. No a-holes here, and I'm sorry for your loss. How did mother-in-law act when you saw her during and after the funeral? I'm sure she's hurting too, and maybe she wants to connect with you as a way to remember her daughter. If she's been civil, I'd consider spending a little time with her, maybe with father-in-law along to discourage any untoward remarks. If she can be civil for 30 minutes while you get coffee, then maybe she'll get closure while you don't have to suffer through any drama. During the funeral, she was a crying mess. So was I. She said a few very kind words about my wife during the funeral. I cried. I said a few words about my wife. She cried. During the funeral and car ride, my mother-in-law was the furthest thing from my mind. She was distraught. We all were. When I finally reached their place, I decided that I needed more time to think, and I couldn't deal with the unpredictability of my mother-in-law's attitude towards me. I'll think about your suggestion. I don't ever want to deny my mother's closure, emotional support, or even a small chance to be closer to her daughter. But I don't know if I'm ready to face her yet. Much to think about, and thanks for the wonderful suggestion of bringing my father-in-law to the coffee date. Posted by user No College Son. Titled, Am I the a-hole for giving my son $130K towards the down payment to his first house, but not my daughter since she didn't touch a penny of his college fund? My wife and I have 2 children, daughter and son. My daughter is a bit older, she went to college, and now she works in brand and client's relationship. I have my son who never went to college. He had good SAT scores and all, but never went. He did a gap year, and then from traveling, had an idea to start some online businesses. I don't know exactly what he does, but each time I talk to him, he's always doing something different. He kept his college fund on hand in case he ever wanted to go. We have a lot of money saved in that account, plus it was invested in stocks, so it appreciated considerably. When he went to buy a house, we told him that we would give him this money. He doesn't need it by any means, he has plenty of his own, but we feel that it's the right thing, especially considering the fact that we doubted him when he initially didn't go to school. After hearing about this, our daughter is furious. She said that my son doesn't need the money, that she is struggling, and that it's messed up that it's going to her brother, especially since she didn't get that much for her college fund. I tried to tell her that the amount was the same, it was just that this was his invested for a long period of time after he went to college. But my daughter does not care. She's super upset about this entire situation and won't bother to understand the details of it. So Reddit rules that this one is a you're the a-hole situation, and I can definitely understand that, and I think I agree with it. But there's definitely people out there that, this is not the daughter's money. The money was designated for the son, he deserves it, and it was always his. And, the daughter is struggling, the son is not. The parents have the ability to help this daughter out. Although she's not entitled to the money, the son already said that he doesn't want it. It's now on the parents entirely if they do want to help their daughter out or not. And I think they would be a-holes in this situation if they didn't relinquish that money to help their daughter out who is struggling. OP, you're the a-hole. You're the a-hole, and here's why. Each of your kids is not receiving the same amount. If you gave each of them $50K, then that's equal, and your daughter could not complain. But you kept your son's. You invested it, not him. You gave your son's fund more time and attention than your daughter's, and that is not fair. This isn't about her struggle or not, it's just about being fair. The right thing to do would be to give your son the same amount you gave your daughter, and whatever is left over would be split between the 2 kids. Your son didn't ask you to invest his fund. His fund was not in his control. Again, You chose to spend more time on your son's fund, and that is not fair. If you gave him his fund when your daughter got hers, and he did the investing and made the choices, then any gains would be rightfully his. But you didn't do that. You did the work for him. You worked harder on his fund for no reason, and that's not fair. Do the right thing. Give your son what his initial fund would have been, just like you did your daughter, and split the difference between the two. That keeps it equal between your two kids, as it should be. Yeah, and did they explain to their children that they were investing it? Did they tell them the longer they let it sit, the larger the amount would get? I doubt it. The daughter probably had no idea she could not use the money and wind up with a larger amount. Instead, she was blindsided in the end. The logic OP is using of, well, he waited longer to use it and got more, is bad and invalid because my bet is the children had no clue that was the case. Yep, as I said, if their son did the investing and put in the work, obviously his gains belong to him, but that's not what happened. The parents worked harder for their son for no reason, and that's not cool. So there is two possible scenarios here. You're the a-hole because you never explained to your children that this was a principle you were investing on their behalf. You told them it was a college fund, meaning that your daughter had no way of knowing she could wait and receive a crap ton more by letting it grow. Instead, you decided to give your son more because it grew, which really does screw your daughter over. You're not the a-hole because you told your children that this was investment money that they could use whenever for whatever, and that it would grow over time if they didn't touch it. Meaning that your daughter knew to some extent that by using it all for college, she could be losing out on future gains, and your son accidentally capitalized on waiting for the return to be better. Info. How much more money is your son receiving? Are we talking like a couple thousand or 10k plus? I think it came to around 80 to 90k. So your daughter received about 50k while your son got 130k? Is that the number we're working with here? 80 to 90k daughter got, son received 130k. You're the a-hole. Do you not see the unfairness between the two amounts? That is a huge difference. That's 40 to 50k. If your daughter is struggling financially and your son isn't, you can easily split the difference in two and give 20 to 25k to your daughter in order to help out. There's a lot of different judgments going on, and I respect every decision that everyone has. I think not the a-hole, no a-holes here, you're the a-hole, all those judgments are valid, but it's no reason to go attacking people for their opinions on these things. So I do ask that you respect people's opinions. Alright guys, that's where I'm going to end today's video. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something that you didn't know before. If you haven't already, please do feel free to click that like button, as it really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already and you loved today's video, please feel free to subscribe. I would love it a lot. Also, big shout out to all my Patreon members and channel subscribers. You guys are all up on the screen right now. I love you. I love your faces. Also, I love seeing you guys all chatting down below in the comments. It brightens my day to see the stories that you guys share and just the kind words you guys always have for my videos, as well as everyone else in the videos. I love you too. But honestly, your ongoing support means the world to me, and I just love it so much that you guys are able to support a career for myself that I invest so much time into. And you guys honestly motivate me to work harder each and every day to put more love into the videos for you guys. If you guys have watched this far in the video and you haven't already subscribed on Patreon or become a channel member, that's cool, you don't have to, but there are links down below. You can donate any amount of money, pledge that any month, cancel whenever. I'm completely cool with it. It's just there for you to support me if you'd like to go the extra mile. And I'll go the extra mile for you guys by putting out new amazing content every single day. With that said guys, I really hope you have a good day, night, sleep, bath, time at work, whatever you're up to today. This has been Markee. I'll see you in the next amazing video. Bye.